What is going on, you guys? Petplatypus here, and it is time for the final Captain America Civil War discussion video. Now, what's this video going to be about? Well, I already told you guys whose side I was on when I did my movie review, and I also went into sort of talking about the motivations of the characters after rewatching Age of Ultron, and now I'm just going to make the discussion video who was right. Now, a lot of people come out of this movie saying, oh, well, both were kind of right in certain ways, and you know, it's not like, oh, Captain America was definitively right or Iron Man was definitively right, because you can just kind of see from both perspectives and just pick a side. I don't buy into that. I think there was a definitive right side here, and I'm going to say right now, I think it was Captain America. I think the movie depicted Captain America as the one who was right, and I think Tony, while he had points and he made, you know, arguments that you could side with, I feel like Tony was definitely the one in the wrong here. He even admits he was wrong to fucking Falcon in the prison. But what do I mean? Like, why do I think Captain America was definitively the right one here? Captain America's stance on the Accords, and I'm not going to talk about the ending with Bucky and the video of his parents dying. That's like a side thing that fueled the flames of their fighting. I'm going to talk about their clashing on these Accords with the UN and everything, and that's the disagreement, the core disagreement and stuff with the Winter Soldiers. That's what I'm going to be talking about. With the Accords, Captain America's perspective on this is obviously, you know, if we work for the UN, they might not send us in somewhere that we want to go, where there's a problem and we can stop it, but they're not going to let us go, or they're going to send us in somewhere we don't need to go or somewhere we don't want to go because they have agendas. He basically doesn't want to be limited by that. He wants to just, yeah, like, fuck the law. We're going to go be superheroes because we're fucking superheroes. And the reason why I think that stance makes sense and why that's the right stance is because that's how superheroes have operated for years. They're vigilantes. For the most part, superheroes are vigilantes. Look at Batman, look at Spider-Man, Superman to a certain extent, even though he has worked with the government in certain stories. It's the case where, yeah, go above the law because you can get this shit done. Like, imagine if Batman had to work for the cops and the Joker's doing something and Batman's the most well-equipped to sneak in there and save the hostages or whatever, and they're like, oh no, Batman, you're not allowed to go in. You can't go in. We have to do this our way first. And then Joker kills these people. Like, you don't want to limit superheroes. Like, basically, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to try to tell you what you think, but if you side with Iron Man and you think he's right and Captain America is wrong, then you're basically saying the cops should catch Batman. You're basically saying Batman is constantly in the wrong and he's almost like the villain to a certain extent. Like, no, like, it doesn't, well, not the villain, that's kind of exaggerating, but you know what I mean. You root for Batman. You don't want the cops to catch him if it's a Batman story where the cops are after him. Sometimes Batman is so fucking badass and awesome and been around for so long that the cops are just like, yeah, Batman, cool, what's up, you know. They kind of let it slide. But, well, not kind of, they really let it slide. They let him go into the fucking police station and everything in some versions. But in the versions where they are after him because he's a vigilante and because he's fighting crime, and, you know, because that's the thing about superheroes is they are criminals. Batman goes around assaulting criminals. Like, he assaults people, he interrogates them, he scares them, he traumatizes them. He is a criminal. He uses weapons, you know. So they are criminals. Superheroes, to a certain extent, are like, I don't want to say anti-heroes, but they aren't just straight-up heroes. They aren't straight up just, like, good guys. I mean, they're good people, obviously, but I think you know what I mean. You know, a lot of people think, like, superheroes do no wrong or whatever. It's they do. They do wrong by the law. And that's the thing that Tony was trying to uphold, is he was trying to uphold the law. But the problem with Tony's perspective, while he does raise good points, again, after watching Age of Ultron and rewatching Civil War, because I've now seen the movie twice, it's the way he shows the black guy. The way he throws up the picture, he goes a little theatrical, you know, he kind of, like, plays it up, like, he ignores it for a second. Oh, hey, this is that guy. He was a college student, blah, blah, blah. We dropped a building on him while we were kicking ass. It's like, dude, you went inside a building and saved people. You were evacuating people on helicarriers. You saved people. You were not just kicking ass and dropping buildings and ignoring the lives around you. So Tony, I get that he's guilty over the Ultron thing, and that's why he's doing a lot of this stuff and why he has this mindset. And that's why I think he's wrong, is because he's working off of guilt, and his perspective is messed up because he was saving people in Sokovia, and in this movie he depicts it as, oh no, we were just kicking ass and we didn't, you know, like that I don't like that. So like, maybe it's the execution of the directing, maybe it's Tony's character. I think it's a lot to do with his character and his guilt, because it is a situation where you can't blame anybody but him for Ultron. Like, with Loki and all that, you could say, like, oh, hey, yeah, we were, you know, we were breaking buildings too, but we were trying to stop them. We were, you know, the greater good and everything. With Ultron, there is, like, no, like, oh, well, Ultron started it. It's like, well, who started Ultron? Tony Stark. So, yeah, the guilt makes sense, but I think it clouded his judgment. That's why I think Captain America was in the right. I mean, look at the Civil War, not the Civil War, what the fuck, the Winter Soldier situation. It's so, I used to call, whenever I was talking about Civil War to friends and shit, I would say Winter Soldier accidentally. Now I almost called Winter Soldier Civil War, holy shit. The Winter Soldiers, like the people, Bucky said these fuckers could topple a country overnight because they're powerful, they're better than him, clearly, we saw in the flashback. These things were a legitimate threat, and with the fucking Accord bullshit, they couldn't go stop it. And Captain America was like, no, we gotta stop this. This is a huge threat. This is exactly why I'm not signing the Accords. And he tries to save Bucky, because Bucky didn't commit any of these crimes, like, knowingly, consciously. And that's why he builds his team, and he just wants to go stop these Winter Soldiers, and Tony has to arrest him, because now he's a criminal, and the Accords just, they weren't that great of an idea. It was obviously, it makes sense to want to put some kind of limit on these guys. But overall, I think Captain America was the one who was in the right in this situation. Do people die when these guys go into action? Yes, mistakes can happen. But you got to think about the bigger picture. You got to think about the greater good. I mean, yeah, people died when Scarlet Witch moved that explosion. But what was the alternative? Like, they weren't allowed to go in there, and Crossbones takes this virus, and how many people would have died if that virus got out? So you have to think about the bigger picture, and I just think that, you know, and even Tony Stark he sees at the end of the, not at the end of the movie, he sees towards the end of the movie when everyone's locked up in the jail cell, like, yeah, he's like, no, these guys aren't criminals, this is wrong, I was wrong, he says that. So I definitely think Captain America was the definitive correct side in this movie. Well, I don't want to say correct, but I think his perspective was less clouded than Tony Stark's. He didn't have the same, like, guilt going into it, and it is his movie, so it makes sense. And I'm not trying to downplay Tony like he had no, you know, it makes sense that you'd want to preserve the borders. It can cause international incidents when these people are going in and doing what they're doing. And people do die, so there could be some kind of limitation. I get that perspective, but Tony, I think, was approaching it wrong. I think the guilt was getting to him. I think that having these limitations, at least the way it was set up initially, was definitely going to limit them too much. And I think that's why Captain America did what he did. I think there is a middle ground. I don't know what it is, but I think there is a middle ground there. And Tony did say at one point, you know, yeah, once you sign it, we can file the paperwork and then make changes. But, yeah, I don't know. I just got a message on PlayStation. But anyways, yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts, though. I think that because superheroes, for years now, for decades in comics, have fucking been vigilantes and been above the law and do what they do because the law sometimes has too much paperwork or too much bullshit in the way. I think the fact that that's how superheroes have operated for decades in the comics, Spider-Man, Batman, who you name them, you know, I think that's why I prefer Captain America's perspective. That's why I think Captain America's perspective is the right path, despite, you know, the casualties that could be along the way. But what do you guys think? Did this video change your mind? Did you go into the movie siding with Iron Man and switching to Captain America? Did you go into the movie siding with Captain America and switching to Iron Man? Did this video not change your mind at all? Tell me in the comment section below what you guys think. Who do you think had the better perspective here? And, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. So you can tell me that in the comment section below. Follow me on Instagram or add me on PSN. I'm petplatypus on both. You can also give this video a thumbs up. Share it on social media. Both those would help me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't already, or if you like what you've seen here. If you watched this whole video, you must have liked it at least a little bit, so hit that subscribe button. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.